Yes, hello everybody. I just wanted to make a quick video on why Barrow should leave after 3 years. What we are looking at is two things. First of all, this country, people are really going through it. And the other thing is, I don't know whether you guys can hear me or see me properly, just holler. And the other thing is that if somebody gives their word, they should be willing to honor that word. One of the great roles of a leader of a nation, the leader of a nation is not only political leadership but also moral leadership. You know, you are the moral watchdog of the society. So you are supposed to honor your word. If you give your word trumps the laws, because long after everything is said and done, you will be remembered for whether you kept your word. One of the reasons why people are so disillusioned with politicians is that they don't keep their word. They give promises and they fail them. So it's very important that he sticks to that word and leave. And he is really not competent to lead this country, and we all know this. We can argue all day long, but we know that he is not the competent one. He is not the one who is supposed to be leading this country at this transitional point. First of all, he doesn't have a grasp of the language. Second, he doesn't understand policy as it should be understood. And miss me with that argument that, oh, he was a businessman. Gambia is not a corporation. Gambia is not a business entity. It is a nation of people. It is a community of people. It is a society of people. It is a coming together of different people. So if you're going to be the president and commander-in-chief of this nation, the least you could do is to understand what should be put in place, what should be done, and basically. So we've seen the golden lead issue. We've seen NAWEC is going at it really bad right now. We've seen how they've attempted to destroy the monkey park, like basic fundamental policy stuff that you don't mess with when it comes to the safeguarding of the society, of the community and the nation state. The world is going through a planetary crisis, and the least we could do is to destroy our environment. And for you to be hell-bent on destroying that, and you have a government that actually tries to justify that destruction, is actually very weighty, so it's a lot of things. And I think he should be dignified enough to give up the seat of power after 3 years, because things are not the way they're supposed to be. Gambians are suffering. And if anybody wants to deny this, maybe you don't live around, or you live a very privileged existence that you don't see the life of the majority who live here and struggle here every day. So I think we should be very clear about that, and no amount of laws or regurgitation of old text or manipulation of statecraft would guarantee him success in trying to go beyond the 3 years. Barrow was an anything but president. We would have voted for anybody and anything other than Yahya Jammeh. He wasn't, let's say, the choice to lead. He was just the sacrificial lamb for the destruction of the tyrannical order of the day of Yahya Jammeh. And I think the sooner he understands that, the better. Because if he doesn't understand that, we should make him understand that you are not there because we think you can really lead us. You are there because we wanted to get rid of Yahya Jammeh. And as soon as we understand that, it will be really easy, it will be better, it will be very simple for him to understand why he should leave. We need a competent leader. We need competent people who can run this country. The crime rate is accelerating, even with the presence of ECOMOG. Our environment crisis, prices are hiking, everything is in shambles, and he would not come out and talk to people. One of the most annoying things about what he does is that he would go to all these conferences around town and speak there, and glorify people, private citizens, and go to the Commonwealth and do speeches with blunders, but he would not address his people. You know, we are the ones who put him there. Gambians sacrificed a lot to take Yahya Jammeh out. We all know the risk that carried. You know, how many people said that if we take this guy out, we might end up in a civil war? And he attempted that, but Gambians still went ahead and took him out. So the least he could do for our people is that he gives up the seat of power, you know, when the 3 years come, and to honorably resign, and that he will be respected long after, when the history of this nation is being written and its leadership, he will be remembered for somebody who kept to his word, and he didn't, he stood by it by all means. In the event that he refuses to resign and saying that the people will decide, well, the people have decided before and they will decide again. And I don't think, I'm very positive, I have a very positive assumption that our people will not decide for mediocrity, our people will not decide for low standards and bare minimums. You know, I think our people will decide for what will make them live a dignified existence among the constellation of nations. And so we urge him and his ministry and his executive and cabinet and everybody, you know, to prevail on him and make him understand that things are not the way they are supposed to be, and that him as the leader, and I'll repeat this again, you are not only a political leader, you're also a moral leader. You are supposed to safeguard the moral status of the nation as the commander-in-chief and the president of the republic. Now, if you fail in the least in keeping up to your word which you promised the Gambian people, how can we trust you to go for 5 years? So I think it's very important that we hold on to the promise, he holds on to his promise, and that he leaves when the time comes. You know, in that way people will respect him. Even with all his failures, we will still know that he was dignified enough to leave as promised to the Gambian people, and that Gambia now deserves, you know, something better. We deserve people who could lead this country. We deserve people who could, who can do what is supposed to be done. And, you know, but Gambians, I just want to say that we cannot keep on celebrating. We cannot keep on celebrating mediocrity. We cannot settle for bare minimums. We should put party interests aside. We should put interests aside that doesn't serve the well-being of our people. You know, this group thinking, this religious sectarianism, these ethnic and tribal affiliations, we should put them on a hold for a minute and think deeply about the future, about our people, about the generation yet unborn who is going to inherit this country long after we are gone. Let's not settle for pettiness. You know, this there is petty. We cannot just settle. You know, we have these whole petty issues going on. We cannot. Our pettiness should not be an impediment for the development of our people, for the self-development of our people. And I hope that we listen and then we hear keenly, and that we do this for our people. We do it for the generation that's gonna come. You know, we deserve better. Our people have suffered for so long, since independence, a so-called post-colonial nation that had failed, since independence, since the republic, since Jawara, since Jammeh, now Barrow. Our people are still in the same situation that they are caught in. The dire poverty, the dire economic hardship, the dire, terrible living standards. Gambians are caught in a hustle. We are caught in a very deep hustle. Whereas everybody's trying to move away from talking and disputing about the basics, we are still here collectively as a nation, still struggling with this. So I think Barrow would do better if he hold on to this promise and he tells our people that, listen, what we should be doing right now is to build. And me, I don't think I'm capable to lead you to build this nation, because he's been here for 1 year, some months now, and we haven't seen any real improvement in the development of our people. And I hope that this message gets across, and that he listens. This message wasn't done out of animosity, it wasn't done out of hate, it wasn't done out of a belittling or condescension. It was done out of a deep concern for our people, because this country is bigger than me, it's bigger than Barrow, it's bigger than his cabinet. Long after all of us are gone, this nation will still be here and the people will be struggling. And our lives are always and will always be predicated upon our historical precedents. And I hope we build something that will be worthwhile of a history when the time comes for us to be judged and reckoned by the future that is yet unborn. So I think we need to be very frank with ourselves in these days and times. Put our pettiness aside and realize that we need a leader who can lead this nation, not because he belongs to my political party or he belongs to my tribe or he belongs to my religion. He should be a person that we know can actually steer the affairs of this country. If we don't do this, Gambians are going to rise up and they're going to do something that should not be done. And when that happens, it's going to be a disaster. Yeah, we definitely deserve better. We deserve better than all of this. We cannot be and the sad thing about our people is how we are so content with our misery. We are so content with what is going on. We're saying, yalala, ndogali yalala. How long would we keep saying these things? How long would we call on the name of God when God himself has instituted us as his vicegerents and his representative on earth to make the earth a better place? We are the ones who are supposed to make the earth a better place. God is not going to come down and make the earth a better place. We are the ones who are supposed to do this. So in the event that this happens, in the event that, for example, this guy decides to stay and he is not, after 3 years, and we know that he's not doing anything, we know he's not competent. I know Barrow himself knows he's not competent for this job. Gambians might rise up, and when they rise up, it will be a sad case. And we would not want that. Nobody wants that to happen. I think what should happen is this bad. People should decide. He said the people will decide whether he should stay 3 or 5 years. The people should decide right now that after the 3 years, we want you to leave the office of the presidency. And that we will go back. If we are going to go back to the polls or whatever, we're going to do that. And one of the things is that we need term limits. Gambians should press for term limits. We should press for term limits as soon as possible. They changed the constitution for a vice president. Why can't they change it to set term limits? We should do this. We should talk about the Public Order Act. People are being repressed of their rights to freedom of assembly, and this is not happening too. So we need to talk about the Public Order Act. We need to talk about our environment. We need to talk about the food, the life cost, the cost of living in this country. And, these are the things that we should be concerned about, rather than, this guy, or this politician, that politician. We should be focusing on the poorest of humanity. Politics is only successful when the poorest of the nation can actually live a dignified and a decent life. Unless that isn't happening, what we are seeing is a failed state. And the Indemnity Act, thank you so much. The Indemnity Act that is indemnifying these people who have done acts of impunity and they're not been taken to justice. This is something also we need to talk about. So let's build. Gambia should be the front of the African revolution. Gambia should be the country that should have been an example. When Gambia's decided happened, when we voted out a dictator without violence, without doing reckless stuff, we became a beacon of hope for every country on earth that is going through a tyranny and dictatorship. We should not go back to where we came from. We should be better than that. We should be better than just holding on to the same thing and becoming the same persons all over again. We shouldn't reinvent ourselves. We should be new people. We should be a people who will not accept mediocrity anymore. We will not celebrate it. We will not celebrate bare minimum. We should stop being a bare minimum nation. We should stop being low standard nations. We should set high principles for our leaders that they should live up to. And this is not about political parties. This is not about ethnic affiliation. This is not about religious affiliation. This is not about regional consciousness or affiliations. What we should be building is deeper than all of that. We should look at each other as human beings, not even as Gambians, because there are people in this country who are not Gambians and they pay their taxes here. So even this whole talk about patriotism and all of this stuff, there is a place where it stops. We cannot keep pushing these things, because what it ends up just promoting xenophobia and the exclusion of the others. We should be promoting the well-being of every human being who tarries in this country, who lives in this country, who suffers in this country, who pay their taxes in this country. And unless we do that, then we are no better off than any other nation on earth. So I hope that we understand this and that we hold on to the promise. And the promise is that every human being should be giving the best of life that they can afford. That every human being should be given a dignified existence in this country. And so this is what we should be working on as a people. Let's build movements. Let's not divide ourselves. Let politicians not come into our community and divide us. We should hold on together. We are a community, and we will remain a community. Long after the political parties have settled down, long after they have gone into office, or they've lost the election, or they won it, we will be here. We will be the neighbors. We will be each other's neighbors. We will be co-workers. We will be living together. So I hope that we hold on to that, and then that we remember that this is the call of history upon us. Frantz Fanon said, every generation has its mission. They either fulfill it or betray it I forgot the last part, but the mission of our time as Gambians is to build consolidation. We should consolidate our communities. We should have communities that can hold our young back. Young people are leaving because you cannot keep them back. There's nothing here for them. I hope that we build communities that hold back our young, communities that respect the rights of women, not just this parroting of saying, oh, women's right now, to destroy sexist oppression in our society. I hope that we build a community that respects its elderly people, a society that doesn't use the authority of elders to silence the young. I hope we remember this and know that we should build a nation that is profoundly great, that people will look up to and that they're inspired. This is a very small country. We can build it. It can become great. Great, so great that we will become a shining light, a shining example for all third world and global southern nations. So in the interest of time, I will just try to repeat myself. I hope President Barrow remembers his promise to the Gambian people, to the masses of our people, that after 3 years he will step down. If he wins the election, that's what he said. After 3 years, he will go down. So I hope he sticks to that, because he's really not competent to lead this country. And thank you so much for listening and watching. God, one love. God bless.